Today, I'm gonna simulate raising 4 of the most bizarre sea creatures from League of Legends as pets. They start off as tiny little fish, no bigger than a clownfish, all living together in one aquarium on my desk. But by the end, they'll be ocean-sized monsters capable of sinking an entire pirate fleet. Along the way, they'll fight a kraken, get ambushed by Bilgewater's most dangerous pirates, and one of them will get kidnapped, forcing me and the others to chase them across the open ocean for a full-scale rescue mission. Let's go. I bought these 4 at a fish market in Bilgewater. The seller told me they were just normal, exotic fish. They were not. I set up a big aquarium on my desk. White sand, colorful coral, seaweed, little rock caves, and a miniature Thousand Sunny ship from One Piece right in the middle as decoration. Then I dropped all 4 fish in. They were all about the size of Nemo, tiny, harmless looking, swimming around the little pirate ship like it was their world. The first one, a baby Tahm Kench. In the game, Tahm Kench is an ancient river demon disguised as a fat catfish. He tricks people into making deals, then eats their souls. But right now, he's this chubby little catfish with a tongue 3 times longer than his body. The moment I dropped fish food into the tank, his tongue shot out, wrapped around 3 pellets at once, and pulled them into his mouth. Then he swallowed a decorative pebble, then a piece of seaweed. Then he tried to swallow Fizz's tail. This thing eats everything, and every time I drop food in, he'd look up at me through the glass with these little bubble eyes and say one word. Deal? In the creepiest baby voice I've ever heard. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not making any deals with a fish. Second, a baby Fizz. In League, Fizz is the title trickster, a mischievous sea creature from a sunken city who's impossibly fast and impossible to catch. Right now, he's this tiny blue fish holding a miniature trident, and he is the most annoying creature I've ever owned. He's the fastest swimmer in the tank by far. When I tried to reach in and move him, he jumped on top of the One Piece ship's mast, just balanced there, looking at me, like, try again. I tried 6 more times. He dodged every single one. He zips through the seaweed so fast the other fish spin in his wake. He pokes Nautilus, then darts away. He steals food from Tahm's mouth, then hides behind coral. He's a menace, and right now, he doesn't have any companions, just him and his tiny trident. He's on his own. That'll change later. Third, a baby Nautilus. In League, Nautilus is the titan of the depths, a diver who was betrayed by his crew and left to sink to the bottom of the ocean, where his suit fused with his body and turned him into an iron colossus. But right now, he's this Nemo-sized creature in a tiny diving suit with a miniature anchor, and he is unreasonably heavy. He doesn't swim, he walks, along the bottom of the tank, slowly. Every step makes the sand ripple around him. When he threw his little anchor at the One Piece ship, the anchor hooked onto the mast, and both Nautilus and the entire ship slid toward each other across the sand. He just sits under that ship all day, sad blue eyes glowing faintly in the dark. He doesn't play with the others. He doesn't chase food. He just exists, alone. The only time his eyes light up is when Nami swims close to him. That's it. That's the only time he's happy. And finally, baby Nami. In League, Nami is a tide caller, a brave mermaid on a quest to find the magical moonstone to protect her ocean from darkness. She controls water, heals allies, and summons tidal waves. But right now, she's this adorable tiny mermaid with a shimmering teal tail, and she is the kindest creature in this tank. She's the team's mom. When Tahm ate too many pebbles and got a stomach ache, Nami swam over and sent a tiny healing wave that bounced off him and made him feel better. When Nautilus was sitting alone under the ship looking sad, she swam down and just floated next to him. His eyes went from dim to blazing blue bright. She creates little water bubbles that trap floating debris, like a tiny cleanup crew. She sings, and when she does, the water in the tank swirls gently in rhythm. Even Fizz stops trolling for a second to listen. She's the heart of this team. Feeding time was chaos. I dropped fish food in, and Tahm's tongue grabbed half of it before anyone else moved. Fizz darted through and snatched pieces mid-fall. Nautilus slowly walked toward the last piece, sand rippling with each step, then threw his anchor and dragged it back. Nami didn't eat any fish food. She's a mermaid. She eats seaweed. And after she ate, a little healing wave bounced off her toward the others, topping everyone off. Even Tahm looked healthier. "Deal?" he asked, wanting more. Always wanting more. Over the next few weeks, they grew fast. Tahm Kench was now the size of my fist, and he swallowed the entire one-piece ship decoration. I panicked. He spat it back out, covered in slime. Fizz jumped out of the tank entirely and started sliding around my wet floor. I chased him for 20 minutes. Never caught him. Nautilus got so heavy the bottom of the tank cracked. Water started leaking, and Nami's waves were now strong enough to splash water over the edge onto my desk. The tank was too small. My house was flooding. It was time to take them to the real ocean. I carried all four to Bilgewater Beach in a bucket. The moment I poured them into the sea, they went wild. Fizz disappeared into a cave system before I could blink. Nautilus walked along the ocean floor, and for the first time, the very first time, his eyes lit up on their own. Not because of Nami, because he was finally where he belonged. Tahm Kench started eating everything: real fish, jellyfish, coral, and Nami sang to the open water, her voice echoing across the waves. Then the water got dark. A shadow the size of a building rose from the deep. The Kraken, an ancient colossal octopus with tentacles hundreds of meters long, glowing red eyes and barnacle-covered skin. It erupted from the depths, and its tentacles wrapped around all four of my fish. But they fought back. Nami fired an aqua prison, a massive water bubble that trapped two tentacles in place. Fizz launched himself through a tentacle with his trident, slicing it clean, then jumped on top of the Kraken's head to dodge its counterstrike. Nautilus threw his anchor and hooked it into the Kraken's skull, then pulled the beast's head towards the surface. Every step he took sent shockwaves through the water, slowing the remaining tentacles. Tahm Kench took a direct hit from a tentacle slam, but his skin absorbed it completely, didn't even flinch. Then his tongue wrapped around an entire tentacle and swallowed it whole. Nami blessed Fizz with Tidecaller's magic. His trident started glowing, and every strike now slowed the Kraken further. Then she sent a bouncing wave that healed Nautilus, damaged the Kraken, and bounced back to heal Fizz. 3 bounces. Nautilus fired a depth charge straight into the Kraken's belly. The underwater torpedo exploded on impact, launching the entire Kraken above the surface. And Nami finished it. A tidal wave that slammed the wounded Kraken backward into the abyss. It fled. We won. I brought them home, proud and exhausted. But what I didn't know was that from the cliff above the beach, someone had been watching the entire fight through a telescope. Gangplank, the pirate king of Bilgewater. He saw Nami's power, the water control, the tidal wave, the healing, and he had an idea. Nami's moonstone could lead him to the legendary one-piece treasure beneath the ocean floor. He called Misfortune, the dual-pistol bounty huntress, and Ilaoi, the priestess of the sea god Nagakabaruos, 3 of Bilgewater's most dangerous. The fish girl can lead us to the One Piece. Capture her! Days later, I took the 4, now cat-sized, back to the beach. While they were swimming, cannon fire rained from the sky. Gangplank's cannon barrage. Misfortune appeared on a boat and fired a ricochet bullet that bounced off a rock and hit Nami. Ilaoi pulled Nami's spirit right out of her body, weakening her instantly. Nautilus threw his anchor to save her, but Ilaoi summoned Nagakabaruo's tentacles that slammed him to the ocean floor. Misfortune unleashed a bullet-time barrage across the water. Tahm shielded Fizz with his thick skin, but took heavy damage. Gangplank grabbed Nami, locked her in an anti-magic glass cage, and sailed away on his flagship. 3 of my fish and I watched helplessly as the ship vanished over the horizon. I wasn't going to let that happen. I rented a small boat, loaded the 3 remaining fish into a water barrel on deck, and set sail after Gangplank's fleet. On the journey, something incredible happened. They evolved. Tahm Kench ate everything in the ocean along the way. Fish, coral, jellyfish, even a sunken shipwreck. He grew from cat-sized to dog-sized to cow-sized to warship-sized. The River King. His tongue was now 50 meters long. His mouth could swallow an entire ship. His skin could absorb cannonballs without a scratch. Fizz dove into an ancient sunken city, his ancestral home from the lore. Inside, he found the Trident of the Deep, a divine weapon. And there, for the first time, he met Chomper, a colossal great white shark guarding the city. They bonded instantly. Fizz emerged as Sea Lord Fizz, riding Mega Chomper, a shark the size of a warship. His ultimate was finally unlocked. Nautilus sank to the deepest point of the ocean, repeating his tragic past of being abandoned at the bottom. But this time, he had a reason to go down there. He fused with ancient deep-sea armor and rose as the Titan of the Deep, aircraft carrier-sized, with an anchor that could drag islands. I stood on my tiny boat, surrounded by 3 evolved ocean monsters. Let's go get Nami back. Gangplank's fleet, 20 warships and a flagship opened fire the moment they saw us. Cannon barrage rained from the sky. Misfortune's bullet time swept across the water. Ilaoi summoned Nagakabarua's tentacles from the deep. Nautilus hooked 5 ships at once with his anchor and dragged them all to the bottom. His depth-charge torpedoes exploded 5 more in a chain reaction like dominoes. Tahm Kench launched himself from beneath the flagship, mouth open, and bit off the entire stern. His tongue wrapped around the mainmast and snapped it. Fizz and Mega Chomper charged through the fleet, the shark swallowing 3 ships in a row, while Fizz leapt onto the flagship's mast, dodging Misfortune's bullets like they were nothing. Gangplank drew his flaming sword and slashed at Fizz, but Fizz hopped onto his trident and balanced there, untouchable. Ilaoi summoned tentacles around Nautilus, but he was so heavy they couldn't lift him. Misfortune opened fire on Tahm, every bullet absorbed by his skin, not a scratch. Then Tahm's tongue wrapped around Misfortune and swallowed her whole. Nautilus sent a depth charge towards Ilaoi. It exploded every tentacle in its path and launched her into the sky. Fizz threw his divine trident bait into the water, and Mega Chomper erupted from below, biting the flagship clean in half. The ship sank, and with it, Nami's glass cage. Nautilus dove after it, down into the dark. For the first time in his life, sinking to the bottom wasn't lonely. He had a purpose. He swung his anchor and shattered the glass prison. Nami was free. The moonstone blazed with light. Nami held the moonstone as ocean energy poured into her body. She evolved into the Tide Caller Empress, a massive glowing mermaid who could command the entire ocean. She raised her hand and summoned a 100-meter tidal wave that swept away every remaining ship in Gangplank's fleet. Then she sent a healing wave bouncing between her 3 brothers, mending every wound from the battle. Gangplank clung to a piece of driftwood, gasping. Then Tahm Kench slowly surfaced beside him, smiled that horrible smile. Deal? Deal? Gulp. 4 evolved ocean monsters now swam together through the open sea. Tahm Kench, massive as a warship. Fizz riding Mega Chomper. Nautilus walking the ocean floor for purpose for the first time. And Nami, glowing on the surface, the light of the sea. I stood on the cliff at sunset, watching them. From 4 tiny fish, no bigger than Nemo, swimming around a toy pirate ship in a glass tank on my desk, to 4 legendary sea monsters that sank an entire fleet and controlled the ocean. No one sails these waters without their permission. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, you'll probably love the video on screen right now. Check it out, and I'll see you next time. Deal? No.